Alright, okay. Something new for today. Massive value in every way, as I would say. So I gotta get to it. What I'm talking about today is the Nike Swoosh Recovery. And maybe you've heard that before, that term, maybe you haven't. But I'm guessing at least you know what I'm talking about when I say the Nike Swoosh. So that's like the Nike logo, right? Like the checkmark thing. Well, it's not an official economic term, but a lot of people are using it more and more. What I'm finding, and it's very valuable. I feel like to my audience, and I'm trying to provide value to people who want to, make more money, start their own business, really create the life they want to create, because it gives you a better understanding of how the economy is recovering from basically like the crash that just happened or is happening now, and it gives you a better like understanding of how things are going to go in the future, opportunities that might be available, and just basic investing information. So yeah, if you want to learn more about this, learn more about how to get money, learn more about what's going on right now with the economy, then yeah, stay tuned. Make sure you hit the like button, go ahead and subscribe. Check out the link to the emailing list that's free with more similar information like this. So yeah, getting into it. So I already told you Nike Swoosh, what it is. Looking at it like a recovery, like how does that make any sense, right? Like why do they call it the Nike Swoosh Recovery? Because if you look at the economy, and most likely what people are referring to when they talk about this is the stock market. So when you look at the stock market or the economy, um, basically if there's a crash, prices go down, the numbers go down, like the cost of something, cost of an asset can go from like up high to down low. So that doesn't go straight down really, it goes kind of like usually goes down a little bit of an angle, and when it recovers the price starts to go back up. So you have different recoveries. The last recovery we had from the 2020 crash was more of a V-shaped recovery, right? Because everything crashed and then it just shot right back up, right? So this is more of the Nike Swoosh, where it crashes instead of shooting right back up. It kind of slowly just like does that little check mark end at the end, and that's kind of what it looks like is happening right now. So yeah, you got like really two terms that were used to describe recoveries in the market before this Nike Swoosh Recovery term was recently created. I believe it was recently created because I've never heard anyone talk about it until the past couple of months. But basically before the Nike Swoosh Recovery, there was either a V recovery or a U recovery. And the V recovery, like I just talked about, is something where like the price just like snaps back real quick. So basically like the economy just bounces back. The U recovery is where it slowly bounces back. So the swoosh is kind of said to be like right in the middle of the two. However, the swoosh to me is really like only explaining like the beginning of the recovery. So I think when people talk about a swoosh recovery, they're kind of saying like they're projecting that everything's gonna recover at least somewhat, but then they're saying that after that initial like rally, when things start to recover, they don't know what's going to happen, right? Things could go down, things could go either way after that. But what it looks like right now is that swoosh is really just starting to like build up and take place, and it's kind of like creating itself right now, but it hasn't really all played out yet. So yeah, I want to look at the main factors that contribute to why this is playing out right now, or why a lot of people believe that this is what is playing out right now. And these factors are, the first one being, the pandemic, and basically everybody knows like the pandemic was hard on the economy. It had a negative effect on the economy for the most part. So that has a big impact on why the economy is in a downturn or was in a downturn. Because yeah, even if people aren't really like 100% all in agreement on whether it's recovering right now or it's just a relief rally, everyone can pretty much come to agreement that over at least the past year, the economy has been on a downturn, if not more than the past year. So another issue for this is really the supply chain. So there's been so many disruptions in the supply chain that has really made it difficult for the economy to recover, right? Because if there's not enough goods to sell, then that money's not going to come in. So, if the supply chain is broken, it just slows everything down. And that's like mainly the reason people think, I believe we're not going to have a V-shaped or a quick recovery, is because the supply chain is not at where it needs to be at right now for things to recover so quick. There's also challenges in the labor market. A lot of people either quitting their jobs, a lot of businesses having to lay people off, a lot of people finding themselves that they don't want to go into work anymore, or just maybe even want to choose a brand new field. Or hopefully what I want to see is a lot more people realizing that this is a really good time to start a business. I mean, I always think that after a crash is the best time to start a business. So yeah, when you talk about a swoosh recovery, it's not all bad, it's not all good. So I want to talk about really like the pros and cons about, a swoosh recovery and what that really means. The most negative aspect of this is really like the labor market and the slower job growth, because it's going to just take a while for everything to get back to where it was, really, with employment and businesses having the power they need and the people they need to get the money that they want to make, so that the economy can get back on a positive direction. And something that some people might see as a negative thing is something I see as a positive thing, and I think you should too, because basically it's saying that it's going to create a situation for a lot of businesses that forces them to really take a look at what they're doing. And the reason for this is basically anytime there's like a downturn in the economy, it really gets rid of a lot of the weak businesses, right? Like, business is kind of like survival of the fittest. Your business could be not really providing that much value, but if the economy is going really well, like, people have a lot of extra money, so they might be spending money on stuff that really isn't that essential. Now, when it comes down to times when the money's not really flowing, that's when the weak businesses get going, because that's when they're all going to know, like, hey, like, okay, now the market only has enough money to spend stuff on what they really need, what they really find essential. And if there's a business out there that's not really creating enough value, they're just going to get taken out. And that's a good thing, because that creates new opportunities, and that creates more people to see where they can go and take over where other businesses left off. Because there's a lot of businesses, that could have made the market seem super saturated, maybe, that you wanted to get into in the past. But if you look at it, the same market, when the economy is going good, and you look at it again when the economy is going bad, I think you're going to find a lot less saturation, and it's going to be much easier for you to get into that market and be successful. All right, so another really like opportunity I see here is for technology, right? And I think this has a lot to do with like the labor market and the supply chain being where they are, because businesses know that they don't have the same labor force that they had before, and that the supply chain is not at 100%. So they need to find ways to navigate around this. And I think really technology, especially things like AI, all the kind of different like business customer database tools, any kind of like technology that can help a business, is really going to become more essential. And more businesses are going to be forced to look into technology that might have already existed, that they could have used, that they just didn't even find themselves in a spot where they needed it. So now I think a lot of businesses are going to find ways to implement technology that is basically going to get their business at least close to where it was before, if not in some cases even better. And they wouldn't have really even looked for these opportunities had the economy not been where it's at. So yeah, really just to kind of sum everything up, it's nothing official. Like, you won't see it in any textbook from economists, like a Nike Swoosh Recovery. I don't know how Nike feels about it. Like, do they feel like, people shouldn't be using that term? I don't think so. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. It just, like, their logo just kind of happens to represent the way that the economy is looking like it's recovering right now. And that's just kind of the like easiest way for people to understand it. So it's no like disrespect on Nike saying that like, you know, their logo is a bad thing and it means that the economy is not going to recover fast. It's nothing like that. It just simply is a way to, you know, help people understand what's going on a little bit easier. Something kind of everybody can relate to and know already. Only the future is going to be able to know whether this is like how things actually played out. But right now, that's what it looks like. And like I said, it's challenges that it creates. It's things that, you know, is going to take some businesses out of business. And there's also opportunities that's going to take some businesses to heights they had never reached before. And in my opinion, there's way more opportunities to people who I hope are watching this video that see that now is a really good time to start the business of what they want to start to make their life better. And yeah, you know, everything is like life is a cycle. Everything happens in circles. You know, what goes around comes around, everything like that, karma. So you want to look at the economy too. I mean, this is just another downturn. This is just another recovery. And not every recovery is the same. Some recoveries are quick, some recoveries take longer. And no one really knows until after it's all said and done how it's going to be. But when you have an understanding about this from the start, at least you have an understanding about how recoveries have played out in the past and how this one's looking to play out right now. I believe it gives you an advantage and sets you ahead of most people when it comes to either starting a business or improving your business. So yeah, thanks for watching this video. If you got some value off of what I had to tell you, make sure you go ahead and subscribe, hit the like button. Any questions, comments, go ahead. And hopefully you got some information.